Welcome back to the BA Podcast. Your boy C-Roc. Thanks for joining us. I'm here in Las Colinas at the Ritz for the February edition of the BA event. Check out BA, Board of Advisors. If you haven't heard of it, it's an amazing group of people, founders, investors, great people pouring into each other and helping each other go further faster. I'm here with Remy Davenport, my new friend. What's up, brother?
What's up, dog?
Thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Let's get into it, man. I want to learn more about you. I want the audience to learn more about you and what you do. So tell us, what are you focused on right now? What's got you excited right now?
Okay, we run a social media firm. We specialize in working with super busy 7 and 9 figure founders, people that are primarily looking to grow their personal brand using short form video in the organic lane. So we don't do paid ads. We don't do the podcast type stuff. We strictly just do the short form video, but we're a completely done for you service.
Gotcha. So do you rely on them to shoot content wherever they are and send it to you, or do you have them come in and spend hours with you? Oh, you fly to them. Okay.
We go to them.
And spend hours with them and shoot a bunch. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And so when you do that, how many hours, first of all, roughly do you spend with them, and how much content, like how long does that last?
We've dialed in a system, we call it Smart Sessions, is like our proprietary term that we use. It allows us to get about a month's worth of content, which would be like daily distribution, in less than 3 hours. Okay. I have founders that can do it in an hour and a half when they really dial into how our systems are and they get comfortable. When we travel to our founders, ideally I'm not flying out every month. That would be a pain in the arse, and I would not want to do that. So what we typically do is we'll spend a full day with them, and it gets us about 90 to 120 pieces, which can range between 2 or 4 months worth of content.
Okay, and then do you recommend they post once a day?
Always.
Just
always
once?
Start at least with once a day.
Okay, yeah. Like you hear Alex Hormozy talking about like how much he did, like 30, 60 pieces of content a day.
Yeah, but he's running a team that he spends well over 6 figures a month for.
Yeah.
The average founder doesn't have that infrastructure.
Yeah, right. And so how long have you been doing this?
We started this about 2 years ago now.
Okay.
A little over 2 years ago.
Okay. And what were you doing before that?
I was dipping my toes in a few things. I come from like a background of content creation. I worked with a couple different companies for corporate work. I did the freelance thing. I ran a wedding business. Did that with my wife. We did both photo and video. Okay. We did that for about 5 years. I also ran a faith-based e-commerce business for about 6 years. And then I also was a part of a fast food restaurant startup for about 1.5 years back during COVID.
Okay.
So
nice.
All over the place, serial entrepreneur, hustle and grind. And then I was like, I gotta get my shiz together and just dial in on one thing.
And then when you, like, what catalyzed the decision to get into this?
Well, I hit like a tipping point, having a child, where I had to make a decision of how do I actually make this whole entrepreneur thing work. Always had the desire.
And the family.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, how, I mean, you get it. Like when you're an entrepreneur, you hate being told what to do and having a boss, and you want to work on your own time. So those are kind of like my core pillars of like whatever does not involve that, I'm in for it. But then you get into entrepreneurship, and it's how do you actually become successful whilst protecting the things that matter most to you. Yeah. So for me, I kind of had to spend a lot of time overthinking, as we all entrepreneurs do. And I focused on what are the most skillful things that I have in my asset class that I can leverage. And it kind of came down to this idea of high ticket services and content creation and digital marketing. Yeah. And so as that started, molding the vision together, we initially launched the business actually wanting to work with churches. We really wanted to help them with their social media. And then as I sought more counsel and I invested into a lot of coaching and I started dealing with some people in that market, we kind of pivoted because we actually found our model, like the system we were using was way more successful for experienced high-level founders than it was for churches. Yeah. And so we just pivoted the model, and now we focus on founders.
Yeah. Most churches don't do a good job in content creation and like you think about a church, their aim should be to grow their congregation. Yeah. And get the message out, right? First message, then grow the congregation, right? And they're behind the times a lot of times in that. So
they're always, you ever seen like that curve of technology adoption? Yeah. They're always the late adopters. Yeah. Like they took them like 10 years to get a Facebook.
Yeah, and like every pastor should have a podcast. Yep. They should all live stream their services. Yep. And some of them are coming around doing that now and have YouTube channels, but they're really slow to adopt.
But it took a pandemic for them to get there.
Yeah. When
it wasn't hey, you know, this seems like where technology's going. It's like, hey, we have no other option. Yep. So they were always someone that doesn't always align on the value of what we offer. Business owners get it. Right. They understand the game of that. And so, I love them. I think that they're amazing people. I just think that it's it's a really interesting space where you have to try and meet them where they're at, and sometimes it's
hard to run a business that way.
Very hard to run
Let's
a
be
business.
honest. I mean, and I talked a lot about before. A lot of entrepreneurs, when they first start something, they charge way too low for their services and the value they bring.
Yeah.
And they're willing, not willing, but they want to take on anybody that'll pay them.
Yeah.
Right. And then you end up resenting what you're doing because you're not making enough money to scale the business, to invest in better value and services. And then, you evolve into, okay, we got to raise our prices. And then you're like, oh, is anybody going to buy it?
Right.
And then you get your first sale and you're like, oh yeah, okay. Why didn't I do this before?
Right.
Yeah. And
when I ran my e-commerce business, I was selling hats. You ever seen those Bass Pro Shop hats?
Yeah.
So I had a hat that said Fishers of Men.
Okay.
And that was our thing. And it sold like hotcakes. It was great. Always terrified that I was going to get sued at some point or some cease and desist from Bass Pro Shop because they're, giant. So I remember having this epiphany one day where I thought to myself, the same amount of effort that I am spending trying to sell a hat for $30, one-time purchase, not even recurring, just a one-time purchase, could be the same amount of energy that I could be spending on getting someone to give me a lot of money every single month for a service that I could systemize and productize the same way a hat is sold.
It's so funny too, because when you're going through that, you feel like you're the only one.
Right.
You're alone. Everybody else you see out there, because you're always in comparison mode.
Right.
And you see everybody else and you don't think everybody else has gone through that, but we've all gone through it.
Yep.
And there's an evolution.
Yeah.
I actually wrote a book about the evolution of an entrepreneur, because I think we all do that. And then you get to the point where you're like 4, 5, 10 times what you were charging before.
Yep.
Better value because you can afford it.
Yep.
Build team. And you're like, oh man, I can't believe I didn't do this before,
I'm in an agency group with over 350 of them right now. And what I have noticed across the board is we have a chat that shows like wins, because a lot of them they're inside of an accelerator.
Yeah.
And I get messages all the time about how they're closing these deals, but they're closing deals at $1,000 a month, $2,500 a month, or it's a pay in full $9,000, so it's $3,000 every single month. When I first got started, to me in my mind, that would have been like, that's the most insane thing ever. You're getting paid that much money.
Yep.
And now I look at that and I go, I can't imagine how miserable you are in your business, because that's not high enough.
Well, not only that, it's not high enough. But if you do that month to month thing, you have to resell them every month.
Exactly.
And you have to complete everything on that timeline every month.
Yep.
And I went through that same thing. And then what I figured out, there's a concept of called pulling money forward. Right. So we increased our package size and deliverables.
Yeah.
Higher ticket, way higher ticket. And people ask, like, I got to pay that up front? Yes. That's it.
Yep.
And then they pay you, and then you deliver it over time, but you're pulling money forward.
Right.
And then it helps the business,
be
able to, roll from there. So,
much better than net 30, net 60, net 90s.
Yeah, man.
Because then you're hunting down invoices.
Yeah, and then you're not spending time building
accounts
your business.
receivable is higher than anything else.
Yeah,
and
you're
like,
taking away from business development. So
you're cash negative.
95% of anybody's business, especially startups, should be focused on generating revenue.
Right.
And you don't want anything distracting you, taking you away from that. So how many of the entrepreneurs you work with are dialed in enough to know what their messaging should be, and how to shoot content?
Oh man, the 5% of them.
Little. Yeah.
It's really interesting. Like so many of these founders, 7, 8, 9-figure founders, have been so successful in their ventures, they don't have their messaging figured out. And a lot of that is because you're taking a pivot. At least with what I do, I work with the personal brand side. A lot of them have dialed in their messaging for their business, and that runs really well.
Yeah.
But now they're trying to figure out what's my message, and that's I've had probably half a dozen conversations with founders from this event already, where the number one thing that they are asking for is actually not even just the content, it's the clarity in figuring out the message and strategy of what they're trying to do.
Yeah. And why is it important if they've had a 7, 8, 9-figure business where they've built a business brand and they've had success bringing in that much revenue? Why is it important for them to even worry about the personal brand side of things?
Consumers' sentiment is shifting. I think that people, not even just a think, I know that the data is showing that the consumer is shifting their preference and they prefer to buy from founder-led businesses. There is a number, how do I explain this? The number of distrust, the percentage of distrust in institutions is at the highest it's ever been. COVID was a great example of this, of how we don't trust the government anymore, institutions lying to us. So people are skeptical by default now when it comes to new businesses they're introduced to. Yeah. But people connect to people. It's what we used to do thousands of years ago. You didn't work with a business with a brand that was in a building down the street. You worked with Joe, who was the craftsmanship, right? He did the job you needed. So this is by nature what we already do by default, and where content is going and where the markets are shifting, founders are now realizing that they need to become creators because that's where the market is preferring to buy from.
Yeah.
And so that's, as the shift is happening, the best example I heard of this recently, I mean, AI is a great example of a market shift too, but Kodak was a photography company. They did cameras. They actually invented the first digital camera, but they refused to adopt digital cameras as a part of their product line. And then Canon, Nikon, Sony came along and completely destroyed their business. Yep. But the market was shifting and they ignored it because they thought, what got me to this level and where the market is at now, this is how it'll always be.
Yep.
But things change.
And that's what happened to Blockbuster.
Exactly.
Same thing.
Exactly.
Blockbuster. Yeah. And what about when you create the content, you post the content, but nobody engages with it? Because here's the thing, there's a couple of schools of thought here, and I've played both of them. One is post and hope to go viral consistently enough and build up a smaller audience, but they're engaged. Or you do the perception route, right? Where you get into engagement groups on Instagram, for example. When you post, it goes in there, and then you have real accounts that are liking and commenting to spin the wheel, but it may not be an engaged group, a real engaged group, but when you're doing all your other reach outs or you're going to events, people look you up, they go to your Instagram page and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That perception thing. So that one for me has worked way better. Yeah. Because I'm not sitting around hoping to go viral and hoping to, I just don't feel like playing that game. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I'll give you my transparent thoughts. Yeah. When it comes to trying to build an organic presence, having artificial engagement groups can make it a lot harder to go viral. Because what happens is that your algorithm or the algorithm takes your content and it distributes it to a base level of your audience, both a percentage of followers and non-followers, and it tries to identify, is this a content piece that's worth engaging in? So they take those numbers based off of how the base engagement is, and if it surpasses their standard expectations, they'll distribute to another level and then to another level. So that's why a video can go from only having 5,000 views and then overnight you have 5 million views. You're like, how the crap did this happen? Because the algorithm started figuring out, hey, this type of person with this type of lifestyle or these types of videos that they like on their feed, we're going to send it to these people because we believe that they'll like this too. Yep. So it's identifying the audience that would engage with this, because at the end of the day, what do platforms care about? Keeping you on as long as possible. When you artificially engage at those base levels, what happens is it actually just tells the algorithm, these are the people that I need to send it to. But if they didn't inherently like that content and they're doing it because it's a part of an engagement strategy, algorithms have a really hard time breaking past those barriers and finding your true audience. Yeah, so it's an either or strategy because you can't. Correct. Yeah, and I never worry about the viral thing. Yeah, like, I don't even care about that. I want perception only because I'm not sitting back waiting. Right. I send 50 to 100 DMs a day from a couple accounts. Yeah. And then I'm actively reaching out to people. Then they go to my profile. Right. I cause them to go to it. Right. You know, so, and those are targeted people that I'm DMing. So totally. Yeah, it's an either or strategy. Yeah. 100%. We don't typically for our founders operate under like that strategy where it's like, hey, we'll do all the engagement for you and those kind of things. For the bigger benefit of what we do with our founders is it's data collection, because you need to learn your messaging, but you also have to figure out what resonates with your audience. And unless you already have existing content and been doing that for a long time, that's the inherent value that we provide, because you got to figure out what is your core message and what things do you say that you know can go viral. Because when you then get on a podcast or you get onto an earned media opportunity, you know what things to say that will captivate your audience and will make you memorable. Yeah. One of our founders, his name is Scott. Scott got on Lewis Howes' podcast, School of Greatness. Incredible opportunity. He knows and he knew exactly what lines to say because it triggers audiences, it creates shock factor, it disrupts their attention, and all of a sudden they're hooked. Yeah. But he would do that over and over and over again. And he had more organic views from the short form content from their long form session, that podcast episode, than any other guest they've ever had before. Oh, so you're saying it wasn't Lewis that knows how to ask questions that trigger people in. It was the answers. It was his answers. Yeah. Because he had already been doing it in content. He knew those were the things that would upset people. And so he knew to say those exact lines. But if you don't know how to say that, then you miss your opportunity when you get those opportunities to speak on podcasts or whatever. Yeah. So that's one thing, training people, then they get so used to that, they know that. But do you run into sometimes when you're working with someone and you're putting a content out, it's consistent,
and they don't get results, and they're like coming to you like, well, I'm not getting any engagement, I'm not getting results.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do then?
Yeah. I always preface, and I do a really good job in the onboarding process with our founders and just in the sales process to explain how content works.
Yeah.
So I typically put the ROI for social media in 3 different buckets. You have your immediate cash, you have your efficiency ROI, and then you have your strategic equity. The immediate cash should be like, hey, I want to see money made out of this right away. Go to ads. Don't come to me, because that's not our strategy. The strategic, the efficiency is all about everything else around your systems work better. So like your ad conversions, your time spent having to build a team, train, hire, all of that goes out the window because we save you all that. And then the equity is how you leverage this over the long period for your business and for anything else you want to do. If you have an existing audience, you want to launch a new product, you want to get on a podcast organically by just sending a DM, and you have the authority for earned media opportunities, all of those things. All of that kind of combines into this. Don't treat me like the day trader, treat me like the wealth advisor for the long-term strategy.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're not going to see results, maybe even for months. I've had founders where we went 4 or 5 months not getting a single hit. And I always tell them, rejoice, because that's data for me that tells me what's not working.
Yep.
We've tested it extensively. Now we know something needs to change. And then we had a founder where 4 or 5 months in, no results. We completely shifted the strategy, went with a new approach and format. And in the first session we did of that, we generated, I want to say 15 million views and over 30,000 followers for him from the one session. And that was about a 3-hour session of content.
And what was the difference in that? Do you remember what the difference was?
100%, everything. So we were doing kind of like this. They call it Mocast format. It's hey, put a camera up, we're having a conversation, and just clip up little pieces of it.
Yeah.
That is a format that can work really well, but not for everybody. And so we did for Chad, he's a men's health expert. We went to grocery stores. We went to Walmart's.
I like that.
And we started breaking down the same products.
It grabs your attention to the environment.
Yep. The environment plays the visual hook. And so by doing that, he had one of the first videos we posted was about the 4 supplements every dude needs to take. Did 2 million views on TikTok alone. Did another 1.5 million, I think, on YouTube Shorts and 1 million on Instagram. So it was like a 5 million view video. And it was the same message we had done before in a Mocast format.
The environment changed.
All we did was change the environment.
Yeah.
And that's the game of content. How often do people make content where they think people don't like my messaging, or you just need to change how you say it and it will land just as well, if not way better.
Because I get tired of seeing people sitting in the same background, same thing, and I don't even care what they're saying. You know, but like the grocery store, grabs eyes, especially even if it's a men's health thing. The women, it's a grocery store, and it catches their attention. Like, what's he talking about? Maybe I'll tell my husband.
Exactly. You know? One of our other founders we have, they have a meat and dairy farm. They do like 26 million a year. They're huge, but they're in a tiny little town in Roswell, New Mexico. Their format was the same thing. It was just run and gun. We call that format where I just follow them around while they do their job, and I ask questions and I give them prompts. And in the 2 sessions that I have recorded with them, we've done over 40 million views and they've gained over 50,000 followers. And again, this is just 2 full days of content with them. Everything else is automated on the back end. We've given them more distribution than what ads would have been at 10 times the cost.
So somebody that like me, like that plays that perception game, I'm all in on that part. I could start a different account and start from scratch and do the other game with it. And I should have both games playing at the same time.
The virality and then the engagement game?
Yeah, the engagement game, just my account that I have now, just keep it doing what I'm doing. Start a new account. Right. And do the virality approach. And then have both of those things running at the same time.
Totally can. It just depends on what your goals are and what you want to achieve.
Well, I mean, I think no matter what, you should do both of them. If you think about it.
Totally. I mean, like,
it doesn't hurt you because the accounts are separate.
Right. And if you go deep enough into it, you can do what people call like sub accounts. So like you can have like a C-Roc best moments. You can have like a C-Roc viral edits. You could have tons of different sub channels that basically just create another forms, like a tweak on your video that's existing content. But all it's doing is trying to push people to the original source because they're fan pages. And so the algorithm does it. There's agencies that exist strictly to just do that because it can amplify your reach dramatically.
And the other thing is a founder that has employees, being a living demonstration for your company is one of the most important things.
1000%.
Right? And in how you live your life, your family, your health, how you treat people, right? But also how do you treat your personal brand? And when you go out there and you're pushing content and you're pushing social, it creates pride in the person you're working for. Right? And
1000%.
That's huge.
You want your teams to get behind you on it, but also, dude, I could spend hours talking about all the benefits of personal branding. But you have to, in marketing, you focus on what's sexy and what do people actually want, not what do they need. But one of the secondary benefits is talent acquisition. If you can build a brand where a lot of people know who you are and what you do, and you put out a single post saying we are looking for high level talent, that's the leverage that no other founder has, because otherwise they got to go to Indeed, they got to go to LinkedIn, they got to spend a ton of money, recruiting agency. But if you already have the leverage, that's that strategic equity where it's like, I could recruit like an Elon Musk, the best talent in the world with the push of one post.
Yeah. Well, you know who's really good at that is Grant Cardone.
Yep.
And then when he pushes stuff out there, hey, we're hiring sales reps, we're hiring customer service, whatever. Just post it.
And they're already sold.
Yeah.
Because they know the founder and they know where they're going. And that's what you're trying to sell. You're not trying to sell a salary or benefits. If you do that, you're going to have a high churn on your staff.
Well, as we wind down here, what about this? What about you being the founder of this company? You're helping other people do their thing. Do you find it hard for yourself to create content regularly and do what you practice?
My favorite quote recently is, it's hard to read the label from inside of the jar. I can create a strategy for anybody else and then I turn around to me and it's just a blank canvas and just what do I do? But if you think about something enough and you overthink, you finally get clarity on what you should do. I think.
But do you find it hard for yourself to be motivated to do it for yourself?
Well, I'm a big fan of like eat the food that you serve. And so for me, we have been developing a different strategy. And so now for my strategy, I'm documenting the lessons I learned from my founders. And I have my team that follows me now to shoot content to share the travel and the experiences we have. Because now I can start to really show how I do what I do and then what I'm doing at a national level. Because we're traveling to all over the country every single month for our founders. And we're talking with the top minds in the world.
How do you get business?
A lot of it's word of mouth and referral right now. Like our product speaks for itself. I'm a big fan of the term or the quote, marketing is the tax you pay for an unremarkable product. So a lot of our business right now is just letting the product sell itself and getting into networks and groups. But we have started to initiate paid advertising and a few other strategic partnerships that bring in a lot of leads for us.
Awesome. How about podcasting? Have you done any podcasting? Do you have a podcast? Have you thought about starting a podcast?
Wanted to initiate our own easy system that I've seen work very well for other founders of pulling in leads. Haven't had the time yet, but I want to. Yeah. I already have the strategy and everything. We'll have a segment at the very end of the episode that we call the Real Talk. And it's basically where I jam questions in 15 minutes that are little viral snippets. And our goal is for every episode to do 1 million views. So any guest that we bring on, our value prop is not just get exposure on like the podcast, but go see if we can generate you 1 million views of exposure just from the segment that I do at the end, which is a demonstration of my product. That
That makes sense. I like it. I love that. And then what about your faith? I understand that you have a strong faith. And as we wind down here, let's talk about that, touch on that.
Jesus is everything. I mean, like, he's the reason I'm here. He could take everything away any second. And so I live every moment in gratitude for where we're at. But at the end of the day, like fundamentally, the reason that I do what I do is because I believe that God has me here for a reason and that there is limited time and not to take it for granted. And so every minute I just try to focus on the skill sets and opportunities presented and just making the most of every situation.
Remy Davenport, where can people go deeper with you?
Right now, it's just socials. So Remy Davenport is the username. That's where you can follow along this journey and see what I do with other founders and stay connected.
And shoot him a DM if you're interested in learning more. Remy, thanks for joining me, man. Appreciate it.
You, C-Roc.
All right. That's this episode of the BA Podcast. It's your boy C-Roc. I'll be back with some other guests here, but keep coming back. And also make sure you subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, signing off, the BA Podcast.